Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a public hearing for the City of Norfolk Planning Commission. At this time, we ask that you turn off all pagers, cell phones, or other electronic signaling devices. The agenda for today's hearing is located in the City Council chamber lobby. Staff reports and maps of the City Planning Commission hearings will be available online approximately 1 week prior to the public hearing. To access this information, log on to norfolk.gov/planning. If you wish to speak on an item on today's agenda, you must fill out a request form with a staff member located in the council lobby. We normally hear the items in order which they are listed on the agenda. The planning department staff will introduce each item by stating the type and purpose of the application and the location of the property. A staff member will deliver a presentation on each item, followed by a recommendation on each application to be considered at this hearing. Following the staff presentation, the commission will hear from proponents and then from opponents if there are any. Anyone who has signed up to speak will be called by the chair. She will approach the podium, state his or her name and mailing address. The speaker should speak directly to the commission and not the audience. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each. However, the applicant's time will not be limited. All of the proponents and opponents have been heard. Once they've all been heard, Commission will allow rebuttal first from proponents, then opponents. Time total for rebuttals are limited to 5 minutes each. At the conclusion of the hearing of each item and after considering all information presented, the Commission will take action on the matter. Action on each matter by the Commission will be to recommend approval or deny by a majority vote. The statement of motion in the affirmative by a member of the staff is a matter of voting procedure and in no way indicates the recommendation of the staff or consensus of the Commission. Following the action by Commission on this matter, a written recommendation will be made to City Council, except for those applications where the decision of the Planning Commission is final. Anyone who attends the Commission public hearing for a specific item will be notified by the City Clerk's office of the date of which the City Council will consider the application. Susan, you can call the roll. Mr. Chair, just real quickly before we call the roll, for those that are watching online at this moment, we understand that there are audio difficulties with our live stream. Please note that the captioning is working on the live stream, so please turn on your captions. But we do apologize for the issue with the current audio on our internet showing the commission.
Okay. Mr. Pendleton?
Here.
Ms. Van?
Here.
Mr. Wells?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Dr. Wigley? Here. Mr. Bateman?
Here.
And note that Ms. Savage is absent.
All right, we will go to our Architectural Review Board items.
512 Pembroke Avenue, a right-of-way encroachment.
Good afternoon. First up is 512 Pembroke Avenue. This is an encroachment to install pavers into the road. This property is located in the Gantt Historic District and received a COA for this. It is a contributing structure to that district. It was constructed in 1910 and was designed by architects Ferguson and Peoples. Here are photographs of where the pavers will be installed. They'll be interrupted by existing city tree, and the pavers will be installed on the right and the left in 12-foot long sections. Here's a drawing of that. And the proposed paver measures 4 inches by 8 inches and will be tan and will be installed in a depth of 6 inches. And ARB recommended approval on a vote of 9-0.
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Wigley?
Aye.
And Mr. Bateman.
Aye. We'll make that recommendation to the City Council.
ARB, item number 2, 3211 Lafayette Boulevard, a right-of-way encroachment.
This is an encroachment for an existing pole sign. As part of the site plan review following repaving of the parking lot at 3211 Lafayette Boulevard, there was a dedication of right-of-way requirement for the application, and the dedication at the intersection of Lafayette Boulevard and Cromwell Road resulted in the existing pole-mounted sign encroaching upon public property. Here's some of the existing site photos. The sign's overall height is 16 feet 8 inches with dimensions of 7 feet 6 inches in length and 5 feet and 1 inch in width. It displays the text with no pressure wash and painting and contracting. And the ARB recommended approval on a vote of 9-0.
Questions? All right, call it.
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Ham? Aye. Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? Aye. And Mr. Bailey?
Aye, we will make that recommendation.
Item number 3, 117 East Princess Anne Road, another right-of-way encroachment.
This is an encroachment to install outdoor dining structure. This is located in the State National Historic District north of Otter Road. The building is contributing and it was constructed in 1946. Here's some elevations and the site layout of the outdoor dining. The outdoor dining area was approved under a conditional use permit by City Planning Commission at the November 16th, 2023 public hearing. It was not reviewed by the ARB at that time as the outdoor area had not been designed yet. The outdoor dining structure will measure 17 feet in length and will be 7 feet and 5/8 inches wide. The outdoor structure will be 10 feet tall and framed with 6x6 pressure-treated wood posts. There will be a wood railing attached to the structure to encompass that, and that will be 3 feet and 8 inches tall. Here's the site layout again. And then the layout on the survey. And ARB recommended approval on a vote of 9-0.
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Ham? Aye. Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? And Mr. Bailey?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation.
ARB item number 4, Wisconsin Plaza, the relocation of the Armed Forces Monument.
Wisconsin Plaza. And the Veterans Affairs Commission and the City of Norfolk have been looking for a suitable relocation site for the Armed Forces Monument located at Military Circle Mall due to the mall's planned demolition. The proposed site is on the brick promenade of the Wisconsin Plaza. Here's photos of the monument. And then the site plan. The monument is proposed to be parallel to the property line facing the water and the USS Wisconsin. The monument measures 79 inches long, 13 inches wide, and 54 inches tall. There will be a foundation installed beneath the brick pavers, which will be used along the edge of the base of the monument. And here's some renderings of the monument and the location. And ARB recommended a vote of 9-0 approval.
Good.
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Ham? Aye. Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? Aye. And Mr. Bailey?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation.
And then the last ARB item, 245 Gray Street, replacement of a fence.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This application to replace a fence is located at 245 Gray Street where the Perry Glass Studio is. There were recent renovations and improvements to the site. This is part of that last bit. This is for the fence that separates the residences on Yarmouth Street from the parking lot. WPA did assist with communicating with those owners, so there are gates that have been added into that fence to allow them to have continued access, secondary access from their property. It goes in the same location as it was previously, and it is a standard flat vertical fence with an integrated gate itself. The ARB did recommend this as a vote of 9-0 to recommend approval to you all.
Very good. Thoughts?
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Ham?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? Aye. And Mr. Bailey?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation.
Thank you.
On to our consent agenda.
On to the consent agenda. So just a little bit of cleanup to start off with. Consent agenda item number 1, My Mama's Kitchen. We are going to pull that from the consent agenda and put that on the regular agenda after item number 2. So the rest of the consent agenda we will vote on in a block. That's Insomnia Cookies, Rip Rap Brewing, and Julius Hayes. So we'll vote them in a block. So staff recommends that these applications be approved, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Thank you all for investing in Norfolk.
Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation to City Council. Thank you.
Now on to the continued item. Now, Russ is going to do one presentation for item number 1 on the continued agenda, and then item number 1 on the regular agenda, but we will have 2 separate votes on those. Okay, so item number 1 on the continued is request by VLW Plus LLC for conditional use permit to operate a daycare center child at 1485 Johnson's Road. The purpose of the request is to allow for a daycare center child.
Okay, so this applicant has 2 requests. The first is to conditionally rezone this property from institutional to multifamily neighborhood scale and obtain a CUP to operate the child daycare center after the rezoning. The rezoning is requested in order to facilitate a proposed infill development of townhouse-style condos on the wooded portion of the existing lot. While Plan over 2030 future land use designation for the site is institutional, multifamily would be congruent with the multifamily designations on the adjacent properties. The property is currently zoned institutional. As I mentioned, the applicant requests it be conditionally rezoned to a multifamily neighborhood scale in order to facilitate the new development of residential condos. The applicant further requests the CUP be granted to permit the child daycare center to continue to operate after the rezoning. So here we see the site. As I mentioned, it's currently zoned institutional. This institutional zone allows child daycare centers by right, but requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre. The applicant proposes to subdivide the lot in order to construct 7 townhome-style condos on the new lot. Since the subdivision would reduce the size of the lot with the daycare center to less than 1 acre, it would not be able to remain in the institutional zone. Multifamily neighborhood scale district allows the child daycare center by CUP. The applicant has also modified the signage on the daycare center to bring that more into compliance with the ordinance, and we've got a condition that the current electronic sign, which is not currently on, be fully removed within 30 days of approval. So here is the proposed layout of the site. This applicant has proffered 3 conditions for the conditional rezoning. The first ties the rezoning to the site plan that you see here. The second requires a drainage plan for both sites to be considered together. The third permits landscaping, the required landscaping for the proposed western property line of the daycare center site to be redistributed via an alternative landscape plan. So staff is recommending approval, subject to the respective conditions of each request. As a reminder, their primary requester is that conditional rezoning. The CUP is necessary if it is rezoned to allow that daycare center to continue to operate. Any questions?
Thank you, Russell. We have the applicant for the regular agenda item here, Dennis Woodbury. Would you like to speak? Your name and mailing address, please.
My name is Dennis Woodbury. My address is 1485 Johnson's Road, Norfolk, Virginia, 23513. As stated, my wife has an existing child care center that she's been operating in since last April. And we have a portion of the land instead that's not being used or benefiting anyone. So we decided we would try to build some additional homes for sale in that area.
For making that investment. The city is lacking homes for folks, so we appreciate that. Any specific questions for Mr. Woodbury? Okay. All right. Thank you for that information, sir. Thank you. All right. Any other comments, conversations before we take a vote? And we're going to vote on the CUP first, and then the changes. All right.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van? Aye. Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? Aye. And Mr. Bailey?
Aye. We'll make that recommendation.
And then the motion is to recommend approval of the conditional rezoning subject to the conditions proffered by the applicant. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van? item number 2 on your regular agenda, McDonald's for a conditional use permit to operate a drive-through facility large scale at 1632 East Little Creek Road. The purpose of this request is to allow the existing restaurant to add a second lane for the drive-through facility large scale.
Thank you. As Susan mentioned, this applicant is requesting a CUP in order to facilitate the expansion of their existing drive-through and continue operating the drive-through 24 hours per day. The site is located on the northwest corner of East Little Creek and Meadow Creek Roads in the Bel Air neighborhood. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Orphan 2030, which designates the site as commercial. The property is currently zoned CC. Since this business opened in 1980, which was prior to existing regulations, the site's considered legally non-conforming for the drive-through and their operating hours. Since they are expanding the drive-through, they will need to come into conformance with the current requirements, which require that CUP for both the drive-through and the 24-hour operation. Here is the site. The property's been updated over the years, but the overall layout is substantially the same. Here's the proposed site plan. As you can see, they'll be adding a second drive-through lane. The site is rather tight, but they will be enhancing existing landscape areas. And based on the Commission's concerns at mid-month, the applicant's engineer has modified the entrances along Little Creek Road to improve traffic flow and reduce conflicts. And staff is recommending approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report.
Yes, sir. Any questions for? Okay. We have applicant representative, Mr. Martin, or Ms. Martin. I'm sorry, I couldn't read the writing on the first name.
Good afternoon, my name is Pilar Martin, and I'm with Bowler. My address is 706 Country Club Road, and I'm representing McDonald's.
Very good. Anything you'd like to share about the application with us?
No, nothing in addition to this. As stated, the applicant would like to enhance the landscaping and just trying to mitigate traffic along Little Creek. So,
We're appreciative of those mitigations of the inbound, outbound traffic, so thank you for that.
happy to do it.
All right. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
that. All right, Susan, I think we can vote.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Vann?
Aye.
Mr. Wells? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? Aye. And Mr. Bateman?
I will make that recommendation to the city council. Thank you.
Okay, now going back to My Mama's Kitchen, which got removed from the consent agenda. My Mama's Kitchen for conditional use permit for the sale of alcoholic beverages on premises at 1872 East Little Creek Road. The purpose of this request is to allow a restaurant to sell alcoholic beverages for on-premises consumption. This applicant is My Mama's Kitchen. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 1872 East Little Creek Road. The site is located on the north side of East Little Creek Road between Halton Drive and Meadow Creek Road. The proposal is to allow the restaurant to sell alcohol beverages for on-premise consumption. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. The site is zoned CC. The applicant is relocating from 7943 Shore Drive, where they were open for 11 years. The applicant did not serve alcohol at the prior location and is proposing to sell alcohol at the new location and is applying for a conditional use permit to allow the restaurant to sell alcohol on premise. This is the proposed floor plan for the restaurant. This is the site. It previously operated as a daycare for 20 years. Prior to the daycare operation, it was a restaurant. The applicant has been working on the site for some time now and stated that there will be some site improvements such as restriping the parking lots and installing a dumpster enclosure. The applicant also stated that they will be doing some landscaping, however, it will have to wait until business opens up to produce revenue. The proposed hours of operation, 11 a.m. until 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. until 10, Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Sunday. The hours for alcohol beverages on premise, 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Sunday. Occupancy, 88 seats indoors. Total occupancy is 99. The staff does recommend approval subject to the conditions. I did receive a letter of recommendation from the East Little Creek Civic League Business Association, and we did receive a few phone calls and emails of concern from the neighbors abutting the facility. However,
However, the complaints are more related to establishments next door and previous operators 30 or more years ago.
Any questions? Thank you, Sherry. Any questions for? All right, we have two applicant representatives, Montier Stevenson and Barry McKissick. State your name and mailing address, please.
Barry McKissick, 1371 Hillendale Road. Montier Stevenson, 1371 Hillendale Road.
Very good. What can you tell us about your application that you want us to know?
Well, the reason we're up here now is because we're interested, after talking to a restaurant consultant, and after taking I guess one would call it a view of the other restaurants within the neighborhood, we want the time span to differ. We're interested in opening 11 to 10 on Monday through Thursday, and
Friday and Saturday would be till 11 p.m.
11 to 11.
And Sunday would be till 5 as opposed to 4.
Because, I mean, it's a passion, and we love our neighborhood, but we also have to worry about paying the bills on that road.
And so if I got those times right, it's 11 to 10, Monday through Thursday, 11 to 11, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11 to 5.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Were you aware of the comments, the phone calls that we received as far as complaint or
I was just aware
opposition?
of one such letter for people, I think they probably live
Right behind the restaurant, behind the wall, which were also, I was the owner of the daycare as well, and we got those same complaints about children crying in the yard and the playing basketball too loudly, and it was, so I understand. And they just have certain requests, and their request is comparing us to someone in 1990 and to our neighbors, and we just want to go on our own merit with the businesses we've had, and
We're not a nightclub. We're not trying to be that.
bar.
We're a family restaurant that just happens to sell alcohol. But we plan on having a designated driver program, as you guys have stated. We actually did have beer and wine at our previous location. We didn't have alcohol, but we did have beer and wine, and we didn't have any issues there. And we plan to do the same here. We just want to have a nice, wholesome environment around that people can come to, bring their kids, their families.
And as an educator who has been in the community for over 30 years, who have put back adults into the neighborhood who are now citizens and voters, and we think we have earned this.
Any question? No? Just want to make sure. One comment I'll make about neighbors and businesses existing in a neighborly fashion. You've been there, so you know who the neighbors are, you know that this is going to change the use, and certainly it helps to just reach out, offer them a welcome to come and to experience exactly what you're promoting, and that's a good viable business in the community, so to encourage that. There's also been some conversation and looking at this property. You've been there for many years now. Anything you can do to help improve the aesthetics, greenery, we're all about resiliency and making sure that we have, a city vibrant that can stand the resiliency of all the weathers and everything we have.
We agree.
Yes, sir.
It's almost 3 years now that we've been working on opening this site because of contractors, and I'll take the blame of making a bad choice about the contractor I chose. However, God has blessed us, and we've been able to maintain for 3 years, but it is definitely our goal to make, even once you see the inside of the restaurant, it's very eloquent. It's not wooden chairs and wooden tables. The tables are marble, the chairs are plush. We want an environment where people can come and appreciate good aesthetics. So we intend to do that on the outside as well. do have one. Now that you are proposing to extend a little bit later, and I noticed that you do not have outdoor seating, not yet. So I believe maybe the concern would be when their people are leaving and making sure they don't hang around outside making noise. How do you plan to address that, if that's an issue?
We can have parking lot attendants if need be on the weekend, but I don't, if it becomes a problem, if it becomes an issue, we'll be sure to take care of it and fix it. We'll definitely have cameras located on all sides of the building and everything like that, and so if that does become an issue, people sticking around the parking lot, that's definitely not something we want. After you're done, you can go ahead and come back, but
That would be the neighbors that drive with you. That kind of reminds me of another situation. I remember when Mortier graduated from Cape Henry, and we had a pool party in the yard, and the next thing we knew, the police was there, and at our house. But the first thing that we want to do is easily say that after a certain hour, you can't go outside. The outside area is closed, so that the neighbors can rest and can enjoy their home as well.
And we can always post signs that state that as well.
And,
Make sure people aren't hanging out.
And that's what we get to tell the police that they will come inside in an hour.
Do we have outdoor dining on the roof?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
We
all right,
plan
I
on
wanna
it
make
later,
sure
but not right now.
There's something in the application. Okay, well, any other comments for the applicants?
Well, since the outdoor dining was brought up, I'm guessing they would have to go through the whole process.
So they can do a modified version where they go pretty much straight to council if they want to add outdoor dining.
Okay, so they wanted to come to
Nope.
this, okay.
Can I just clarify? So your alcohol hours are different than your hours of operation. Do you want the alcohol hours to match your operating hours?
That's what we were hoping for,
Okay,
yes.
so everything would be the same?
That's what we were
Okay.
hoping for, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we need to vote on the change first.
So I'll incorporate it
Oh, you
into
will?
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay. All right, so the motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report, including the modified operating hours and sales of alcohol, which would be from 11 o'clock a.m. till 10 o'clock p.m., Monday through Thursday, 11 o'clock a.m. till 11 o'clock p.m. Friday and Saturday, and 11 o'clock a.m. till 5 o'clock p.m. on Sunday. Mr. Pendleton?
Well, congratulations on the expansion.
Ms. Ann?
How about with the understanding that you will pay attention to what's going on outside. Thank you.
Ms. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? Aye. And Mr. Bailey?
I also vote aye, and thank you again for continuing to invest in Ocean View, northern part of Norfolk, so we wish you well, and we'll make that recommendation to City Council. Thank you for coming out.
Now back to number 3, on your regular agenda, Abel Cortez for conditional use permit to operate short-term rental unit vacation rental at 1001 and 1003 35th Street. The purpose of the request is to allow a single-family home to operate short-term rental unit.
Thank you, Susan. So this applicant, as Susan mentioned, is requesting a CUP-operated vacation rental in a 3-bedroom, single-family home on the southwest corner of 35th Street and Killam Avenue in the Kensington neighborhood. A short-term rental does not conflict with Plan Outlook 2030, which designates the property as a multifamily corridor. The property is zoned single-family traditional. In SFT, all vacation rentals need a CUP to operate. Here we see the site for the proposed short-term rental. This home was built in 1917. It's been owned by the current owner since April 2022. The applicant will be adding some street trees along the Killam Avenue frontage, which is to the left of the fence you see on the screen. The applicant has indicated the property will be self-managed and that he will live within 20 minutes of the property. I'll also note that the applicant currently lives in the house and is currently operating as a permitted homestay. His plan is to stay here and continue to operate his homestay until and if he is approved for the CUP, at which point he will relocate. And just to clarify, with the homestays, short-term rental is anything less than 30 days. Homestay this is his primary residence. It does not require him to be on site. while he's renting, so he is permitted to rent the entire house out under a homestay, as long as it's still his primary residence, and he does have the permit to do that. For the neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, approximately 59% of all residential parcels and 52% of all residential units are single-family. All-inclusive, if this application is approved, approximately 1% of residential parcels and 0.6% of residential units in 500 feet would be short-term rental. Staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report. Any questions?
Question, Russell, can you define at what point they became a permitted homestay?
So I do not have the exact date offhand, but it's been within the last month that they finalized their permit.
Questions for Russell? All right, stand by, thank you. We have the applicant here, Abel Cortez. Would you like to come forward? State your name and mailing address, please.
Hello, Commission. Abel Cortez, 1003 West 35th Street, Norfolk, Virginia, 23508.
Cortez, anything you want to share with us about the...
You pretty much said it all. Again, I don't know if should I speak upon the letter of opposition that I got. I'm not sure if I should do that now or not. Okay, all right. So this person said that they disapprove, and I think mainly because of experience they had in Hampton. I guess where they lived, that there was an Airbnb that was not the greatest and caused nightmares, which I understand and I totally get and I can sympathize with. I do want to let everybody know and would like to let him know, and I'd be more than happy to speak with this person, is that I've taken certain stipulations on who gets to rent. With Airbnb, you get to say, it's called an instant booking. It's the word instant book. They have to have certain requirements to book, and I require them to have positive reviews from prior stays. If they don't have that, then they have to send me an inquiry as to why they want to stay. And it's also, they still have to send me a little message why they're coming to stay at my place. But I have the ability to deny anybody that doesn't have good ratings. Also, again, with the noise and the disruption and everything like that, the city, as you know, they require a lot of things to kind of counteract that. You know, decibel meters that I will be getting if approved. I do have cameras on the front door, the side door, as well as in the back that are monitored 24/7. I get notifications every time something happens in the camera. And quiet hours. You know, you guys stipulate 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. That is on the listing. And it's enforced. It's enforced in my listing that there are no parties. If there's anybody that is not registered that is coming to the property, they have to inform me. And also is that I take good pride in actually speaking to my neighbors. My neighbor directly to the left of me is on board fully, and my neighbor right across the street, Mr. Robert Walker, is well established in the neighborhood and knows, and he actually helps me with the rental. As far as he does the lawn maintenance, and he watches the house, which is incredible. You know, he'll say, hey, you know, something, we got a package or you know, anything like that. And he's on my application as somebody that if I am not available within, 20 minutes, of course I cannot be within 20 minutes 24/7, he is available. He, like I said, he lives right across the street and has no problem going over and seeing if he needs to do anything if there's an emergency. I also would like to state that we went through a CUP process with another house in that area, 3706 Newport Ave, last year or the year before. And again, it's a And I actually offer a neighborly discount, because they have family that comes in to town quite often. So that's something that I do for the neighbors. So,
Very good. Questions for Mr. Cortez?
Thank you. Question, a couple of questions. It was noted that there was a violation last year before you got your approval a month ago. Can you kind of explain what happened?
absolutely. I'll be very honest with you guys, is that, yes, I got the violation. When I did get it, this was kind of when I was going through, when we were going through the CUP for the other house that I just mentioned. And it took quite a while. And shortly after I bought this house, my mother passed away in Texas, and my father wasn't doing so well. So I had to kind of pick up and go over there, and I didn't want to lose the house. So I started doing a short-term rental, so I wouldn't lose the house. I was able to come back. My job was not as good as it was before, so in order to, again, try to keep the house, I started doing that again. And I planned on getting a CUP once, like, the slow season hit. So that's the reason for that. But since I got that other notice, I completely stopped, and then I went to a 30-night minimum, which, according to Norfolk, is illegal. So that's what I did until I could get the permit for the home share, until I can get the permit for the CUP.
Explanation. And then you mentioned someone else may be available for the 20-minute response. Is his number going to be on the sign as well, or is it all just going to go through you and hope you can reach him?
It'll all go to me. However, I can make that happen. I mean, if that's something that you guys feel that you need to be on the sign, he's completely on board, and I can do that. I can change that sign.
We'll need to make sure you understand, I mean, that stipulation is someone needs to show up. So
Absolutely.
not able to be reached or to get there.
Absolutely.
It would be wise to have a
Okay.
backup.
I can do that.
Do we have to put that in the stipulation for the other person?
Now, the conditions require someone to be able to respond within 20 minutes, and we test that throughout the year for their permit compliance. So the number he provides will need to cover that, or else we'll be in violation if this use permit is approved. Okay. Questions for Mr. Cortez? Stand by for possible other questions. Thank you. All right, we have Representative opponent Victoria Koenig. Would you like to state your name and mailing address?
Hello, my name is Victoria Koenig. My address is 1023 West 35th Street. So I'm a little nervous. I have never done this before and never planned on doing this. However, my children and I, with our dog, walk past this property at least once a day, every day, and have for approximately the last 13 years. I've never personally met Mr. Cortez, so I do find it kind of interesting that apparently neighbors have been talked to. Mr. Robert also mows my lawn down the street and has for more than a decade. I'm sorry that two of our other elderly neighbors who've lived on the block for over 30 years were not able to make it. They're elderly at this point. But I'm a real estate agent. There's a time and a place for an Airbnb. I have clients who own Airbnbs. The corner of 35th and Killam, in my opinion, is not that location. As far as I'm concerned, we're not close enough to Naval Station Norfolk for it to make sense for short-term, mid-term rental. Cool, give me 30 days. That I can compete with. We're not close enough to Naval Station Norfolk, to the Bay, to CHKD, to EDMS. There are better short-term rental options closer to those locations. We are a neighborhood. Again, I've been there for over 13 years, raising 3 kids that are in Norfolk Public Schools. On that street, we are finally settling. We have great renters that are renewing rents. We again have homeowners who have been there for longer than I've been alive. We're a community, we're a neighborhood. I don't want to set the precedent that we just have a revolving door of tenants, renters, short-term stayers. As far as I'm concerned, the only
way that this permit would benefit anyone is it would benefit the homeowner in lining his pocket. Again, I know how short-term rentals work. I'm not going to disclose how much he purchased it for, even though that's public record, but he's not even remotely upside down. If he's in a pinch, he can sell the house. He doesn't need to bring a short-term rental to my neighborhood. I have a 9-year-old to a 16-year-old. That's home. They play on the sidewalk. Again, even a 30-day rental, I'm not trying to be like crazy, someone who's studying at EVMS, someone who has a kid at CHPD, but we don't need just a place for 6 kids to come and party at ODU for a weekend. I've been in college, I partied at ODU many years ago. So again, I'm not trying to talk down on short-term rentals as a whole, but this I take obviously very personally. I'm 1023, he's 1003. This could not be closer to home. My 9-year-old plays on that sidewalk. I want to know who my neighbors are. And in 13 years, I've never honestly even laid eyes on the gentleman who just said he asked neighbors. So, again, Mr. Robert, I wish he was here and could vouch for the fact that he's willing to help run a short-term rental. He's a wonderful gentleman. He's retired. He helps all of us and, again, has for decades. But I'm just kind of flabbergasted. So, thank you.
Stay by, if we have a rebuttal period, if you would like to speak also. Were there any questions for this person before we? I have a question. Come back up, I'm sorry, I let you go too quickly there. You mentioned you're an agent and you have clients with short-term rentals.
In Hampton, not in Norfolk, personally. So sorry. Again, Buck Grove Beach.
Okay, so I guess the process is completely different in the neighborhood that you
Because they're right by.
You're steering them to.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I have a client who operates some short-term rentals in Buck Grove Beach where you can see, like, the water, and honestly, he's actually downsizing. So, no, I don't have, like, a conflict. I'm here speaking out just as a neighbor. And actually, my dad is the person who complained in Hampton because his grandkids play there. So, it's not because he's the property owner. I've been renting from him for almost 15 years, fixing it up as we go. I'm doing kind of a rent-in situation just for, added info. So,
Thank you.
anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay.
Stand by, thank you. Mr. Cortez, we have a rebuttal period. If you'd like to come up and you have 5 minutes for that. Actually, you're unlimited for the application. 5 minutes for rebuttal, thank you. First time at the job here.
Again, I understand the concern. I do. And the only thing I can say is that I do my best to take stipulations to not have guests like that. They have to have good reviews. And if there's anything that were to happen, I can be there, sort of, because I do see what's going on. I can hear what's going on if there's something loud with those decibel meters. I'm more than happy to meet with Ms. I think her name is Ms. Koenig, and Mr. and Robert, as soon as possible, as soon as she would like, to let her know that, yes, Robert knows and he's willing to do whatever he can to help. But again, I value the neighbors, and the last thing I want to do is be a bad neighbor. So that is why I've reached out to them. So,
Very good. Any
oh,
questions?
and also, I apologize, one more thing, is that she mentioned, she wants to know the neighbors, and I completely get that. But on the other hand, if you rent to somebody long-term, and they turn out to be not the greatest tenants and neighbors, it's a lot harder to get rid of them than it is for somebody that's going to be there for 3 or 4 days or a week or even 2 weeks. So I just kind of want to put that out there, is that it's hard to get rid of somebody that has a nuisance when they have a year lease. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Koenig, we also have a 5-minute rebuttal period as well.
I don't think I really have a rebuttal. We've had plenty of renters on and off of the street for ages, and honestly, some of the nuisances have had to vacate because, unfortunately, the Norfolk Public, or Norfolk Police have had to get involved. But again, this was years ago. I'd like to ideally keep it that way. I love and value my neighborhood and my Norfolk community, and unfortunately, there's just respectfully nothing that's going to change my mind and be in favor of 4 houses down being a short-term rental. So thank you all for your time and your consideration. That's all.
Thank you for coming. All right, commissioners, any conversation, discussion?
Just had a question for planning. I'm reading the Civic League letter and just curious if you're working with Civic Leagues at all to give data, or is this an outlier that they choose not to get involved in a preference?
Civic leagues respond kind of in their own way. Park Place on short-term rentals have had this position long-standing, that they're neutral on short-term rentals. I think there are a couple other ones that also take neutral positions depending on the type of application. All right, Susan, call.
The motion is to recommend approval, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
I just wanted to point out, the approval, and I'm pretty sure staff has done a great job of explaining to you that whether you get approved or not, that this is just for 2 years, but it's not automatically 2 years. So if there's constant complaints and issues, it can be pulled at any moment. So I'm a little odd, but just want to make sure you're aware of the stipulations that come with that, that it's not, you're not guaranteed this if everyone is approved for 2 straight years. Aye.
Dan?
No.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Ridley? Aye. Mr. Baker?
I vote aye, and we'll make that recommendation to City Council. Thank you for coming out.
Item number 4 on the agenda, Melvin and Khadijah Grubbs for a conditional use permit to operate short-term rental unit vacation rental at 1338 West Ocean View Avenue. The purpose of the request is to allow duplex to operate short-term rental units.
Good afternoon. Location is north side of West Ocean View Avenue between 13th View and 14th View Streets in the Willoughby neighborhood. Existing conditions are residential and proposed to allow a duplex to operate short-term rental units. Proposed use is consistent plan for 2030, designates it as residential mixed. Zoning is residential coastal RC, and the RC district is CUP is required to operate a vacation rental with more than 3 bedrooms. Here's a picture of the property. On the left picture, you can see the shared driveway, which they have a shared driveway agreement with. Applicant will live in the downstairs unit and self-manage the property, and they do have experience with long-term rentals in the other unit, and no violations have been issued. Through data analysis, within 500 feet, 40% of residential parcels are single-family, and 15% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 7% of residential parcels and 3% of residential units within 500 feet would be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report, the 2-year expiration, and the Willoughby Civic League voted to approve the application.
Vicky and Hersons. All right, we have, stand by, we have the applicant representative Melvin and Khadijah Grubbs. Get your name and mailing address, please. And I apologize if I...
Oh, you did the best you could. I'm used to it. My name is Khadijah. My address is 1338 West Ocean View Avenue, Unit 1, and this is for Unit 2. And we do have experience with, long-term, and that's been lovely. It's been, and it will still remain that, especially during the winter months. It's great to have something for people who are here PCSing and from the military. My husband is now retired, so we have experience with that, and we enjoy being able to provide that as well. And then we would also like to be able to apply during the summer months to be able to have daily use Airbnbs. We do not allow instant books. I live below. My elderly mother lives with us as well. So we really enjoy the quiet peace of the Willoughby neighborhood. That's why we purchased there. And our neighbors are lovely. They were so kind to sign off on us being able to use the shared driveway in addition to the private beach access, which is amazing. But, we're quiet, and we were interested in being able to use that during the summer months for daily Airbnbs and probably keep it for longer motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Ham?
Aye, and thank you for working with your neighbor. It was obvious sharing the driveway, so thank you.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Woodley?
Aye.
And Mr. Bailey?
I will make that recommendation to City Council. Thanks for coming out.
5, Kevin Richards for the just use permit to operate short-term rental unit, vacation rental at 5021 Woolsey Street. The purpose of this request is to allow a single-family home to operate a short-term rental unit.
Next, Susan, location, southeast side of Woolsey Street between Berry Garden Road and Source Point Road, within the Sherwood Forest neighborhood. Existing conditions are residential, and is proposed to allow a single-family home to operate as a short-term rental unit. Proposed use is consistent with plan number 2030, designates it as single-family traditional. Zoning is SF10, single-family 10. In the SF10 district, all vacation rentals require a CUP to operate regardless of bedroom count. Here's a picture of the site. Short-term rentals will be used for property management, and they can comply with the 20-minute response time. Property meets all of the requirements, and no violations have been issued. For neighbor analysis, within 500 feet, 95% of residential parcels are single-family, and 89% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 1% of residential parcels and 1% of residential units within 500 feet will be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report, with a 2-year expiration. Any questions? And I think we have the applicant representative, Skylar Barnhart. Did you want to speak on behalf? Okay, go for it. Name and mail address, please.
My name is Skylar Barnhart. My address is 1120 West Ocean View, Norfolk, Virginia, 23503. I'm the owner of Stork Stage Short-Term Rental Management. I'm a local to Norfolk. We manage 25 properties in Hampton Roads and surrounding areas as well. Just want to point out Norfolk in general has had a lot of success with combating issues with Airbnb. A lot of the complaints in general have come from areas like Hampton and Portsmouth. We did a Freedom of Information request through the short-term rental advocacy group, Strive, and of the 250 complaints lodged, we found that about 6 were actually justified of legal Airbnbs throughout the whole year of 2024. So responsible management is really in effect in Norfolk. The decibel readers, the ring cameras, and the smart locks with changing cycling locks have been effective. And we personally manage those. We have a ring account with all our properties on there, and we have our main watcher, Candy. She is all over it. So we are not letting parties happen at these properties. The property that we're bringing up today is 5021 Woolsey Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house. The owner is Kevin Richard. He's had long ties to this community. He's worked with Coalescence, working at a coffee shop. He's was in ministry. He's an educator. He owned this property for quite some time. It was a family home, really nice property. Unfortunately, he lost his wife, and he had to leave the area. He still really loves the area. He wants to maintain a tie, and short-term rental is the best way for him to do that, to have that flexibility to keep the property, make it profitable. Long-term rental is not always profitable in Norfolk, and it's not for his property. The property is currently operated as a midterm stay, so 30 days plus, and it's furnished. And so the proposed idea would be to make it a short-term rental, allow for that flexibility. It meets all other requirements with the exception of SF10 zoning, which was brought up previously. The property is suited for families. It is marketed specifically for a family that has a crib, has pack and play, cabinet locks, and we really look for families to book it. We have good relationships with the neighbors. We did host a neighborhood meeting since there is no civic league in that area, and we had one attendant, which was just the neighbor and next door neighbor, and we had a couple of general questions. We've successfully worked through those, and there's been no issues. He has our information, and we have his as well. And pending any questions, that's all I have for y'all today.
Very good, thank you. All right,
I have just a basic question because we use a lot of Airbnb. Do y'all require carbon monoxide monitors?
Yes, we have, if there is a gas appliance on site, the fire marshal will inspect the property and require a CO2 detector and fire alarms in each room and in hallways as well.
CO or CO2?
CO2.
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide. Carbon
CO,
monoxide.
no.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I do have handouts if you want them. If you don't, that's okay too. No, I will not be offended.
Of what?
Just a roll-up of the information I presented today.
Pass it over if you would over to Sherry.
Okay. My first time. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Officer's right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, any conversation? Questions? Ready to vote? Okay, thanks.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van? Aye. Mr. Wells?
I want to make a quick comment. I think Mr. Bernard pointed out something that's very apparent, that's starting to rear its head as we hear more and more of short-term rentals. Norfolk is very diligent, and I'm very proud to say that. I'm very proud of the department that's been watching over it, so I'd like to continue with that. The short stay of the CUPs allows for that review, but also the 20-minute time and the follow-up has been really outstanding. So our neighboring communities and neighboring cities have somewhat of a tainted view on short-term rentals, and it's sort of affected us. So I'm sure that we can continue to improve. We've done a great job. You've done a great job in making this happen, so thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley? And Mr. Bateman?
I will make that recommendation to City Council. Thank you.
Last item on the regular agenda, Alessandro Salas for a conditional use permit to operate short-term rental unit, vacation rental at 1138 Virgilina Avenue. The purpose of this request is to allow duplex to operate short-term rental unit.
This applicant is Alessandro Staines. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 1138 Virgilina Avenue. The site is located on the north side of Virgilina Avenue between Warwick Avenue and an unimproved portion of Atlantic Street. The proposal is to allow a duplex to operate as a short-term rental unit. The proposed use does not conflict with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as single-family traditional. The site is zoned SF10 and 60 BNL. The request is for a conditional use permit to allow the operation of an STR and a duplex. Here is the site for the proposed STR. The site was developed with a four-bedroom duplex, 2 units with 2 bedrooms in each unit, built in 1966. The applicant has owned the property since August of 2023. The property will be managed by CXB Cleaning Services, LLC, with a 20-minute response time. Enforcement, there is currently no cause for service for police over a year, no opening, zoning, building code violations, no current or recent unauthorized STR rental activities for this site. Okay, neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, approximately 69% of the properties are single-family homes, 96 are residential units. If approved, 6% of single-family homes and 2% of residential units would be STRs. Staff does recommend approval subject to the standard conditions with a 2-year expiration date. And I did receive, the Civic League has no issues or concern with this application. Any other questions?
Jerry, stand. We have the applicant representative, Lisa Sampson.
Hi, I'm Lisa Sampson. I own CHB Cleaning Services. I am managing the property.
State your mailing address for us.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
State your mailing address for us.
Oh, okay.
Wait, mailing address. Mailing address?
The address?
Your mail. Where do you get your mail?
Oh, I live 15 minutes away. I'm sorry. I live right in Chiefs Beach. I live 12 to 15 minutes. We have all the necessary security cameras in and out, and the parking. We do have a noise monitor inside as well. And that's pretty much, unlimited contact. I'm definitely within 12 to 15 minutes max.
Questions for Ms.? All right, thank you, stand by.
You said you have a cleaning service and a management?
Yeah, property management, yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
to new business. Item number 1 is to initiate a text amendment to modify the definition of marina to include long and short-term stay houseboats.
Thank you, Susan. So I don't have much for this, but we have a request that we look at modifying the definition of marina so that a marina can use houseboats for long and short-term stays. As we mentioned earlier, you can currently stay on your boat, but this would be for the marina to own a houseboat that they then rent out, not for somebody that owns a boat that's traveling through to stay on their own boat. Any questions?
Thank you for making that. Okay, I didn't understand that. So this is the marina's property that they're going to lease out.
Correct.
For use. And buying houseboats as well? as
That's all part of the discussion that we would like to have, is to figure out what we need to define, how we need to define it, if we need to, include any sort of performance standards.
This is not just defining the definition of marina, it's the whole component of what a houseboat rental would look like for a marina business.
Correct. The key here is the text amendment would modify the definition, which also includes the performance standards for a marina. And so this amendment, this initiation would allow us to do the work to modify that, which could require, as it does in many of the performance standards, if they go over a certain threshold, they're required to get a conditional use permit. So we need to go through all of that and spell that out through the text amendment process, and this initiation would allow us to do that work and bring it to the commission for a full briefing.
Does it also include, like someone who owns a house off the Elizabeth River and they just have the houseboat up there, would that include part of the research?
We believe we need to bring forward to you that there are some instances like that may not be appropriate, and so we want to assure that we're explaining it in a way that captures it, that it's in a controlled environment of a commercial operator rather than someone having something floating in the water they want to rent out. So we're trying to be very careful about it. That's why this is a very broad initiation, so that we can try to define it and provide for the commission some very good details and try to peel apart all the potential opportunities so we don't cause any unintended consequences.
So I have one more additional question too from, this is a new revelation for me as well. Up in Chincoteague, Blue Water has flotels. Is that something that's going to happen in Chincoteague?
I think we need to research that because that's the first time I've heard of a floatel, so we will research that as well.
So instead of a marina owning a few houseboats, they actually have hotel suites that are all houseboats, and they own a whole fleet of them.
That would be similar to this. That would be similar to what we're looking at, a commercial operation in that fashion. But again, we'll need to discuss when does it change from a marina to something else, and does that cause us to look at other regulations. So again, this is although there's very few words right now, there's a lot to unpack, as you can tell, that we need to do a lot of research on and provide to the commission.
Well, this is in addition to already residents that live on boats. And so you have to look at it almost like a neighborhood, right? So we're putting a rental, right in the midst of a neighborhood of the people living. So something to think about. Okay, so any other comments or questions about that? We take a vote? Okay.
The motion is to initiate the text amendment. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van? Aye. Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Rivers? Aye. And Mr. Davis?
Aye.
The final item on new business, initiate a text amendment to allow recreation facility outdoor in the IL Industrial Light District by conditional use permit.
Well, again, this was presented in May mid-month. I'm here requesting initiation of a text amendment to allow the use of recreational facility outdoor to be allowed in the IL Industrial Light Zoning District by conditional use permit only. This does stem from a request to build a very small athletic field. Site's currently zoned IL, and we're in ongoing discussion with Economic Development over trying to preserve how we can coordinate preserving industrial land in the IL district. So, stand by for any questions.
The motion is to to initiate the text amendment. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Dr. Ridley? Aye. And Mr. Bailey?
Aye, thank you. All right. I also wanted to echo Mr. Wells' comments about city staff. I did feel a little point of pride there when it became apparent that others are looking at Norfolk as someone who's figured out how to handle short-term rentals, and all of the collective team of planning and support from police and the entire city staff deserve credit for a lot of that. So, and our regulations that we put in place seem to be working. So thank you guys for that.
I can, on behalf of staff, because I don't want to do this heavy lift, especially our 3 staff members that are majority focused. No one's solely focused anymore. The 3 staff members we have majority focused on short-term rentals. They do a very good job and are very knowledgeable. And so we're very blessed to have them on staff leading this charge and hopefully meeting the expectations of the council, but also the citizens.
If there's anything else that we want to bring up while we're here.
I'm ready to medical guard that Patty.
Oh, okay.
Speak for yourself.
You're invited.
On that note, we